Well, first of all, guys, I just want to acknowledge the fact that we are living in a crazy time. It's crazy. And um, I think a lot of us are feeling the impact and the stress on an individual family level. And I just want to acknowledge that this is a moment in history with a lot of intensity. And I think one of the things is really key in this process through a career transition is for us to take a pause in our lives and to acknowledge that it is crazy, and to also acknowledge that we all have great strength and unique abilities, and we need to acknowledge that. And I think fundamentally we need to be good to ourselves. So what I want to talk about today, this is very, very express, very brief. This is typically an exercise I do with folks on a one-to-one basis, but I'm going to give you kind of the express version. And at the end, I'd be happy to field questions. How do I do this individually? But one of the things that's really powerful I've found in working with thousands of people over the course of time is that as professionals, we oftentimes dwell almost exclusively in our head. And when we dwell in our head, we don't have the full perspective of, who we truly are. We also have a heart, right? We have passion. We have feelings, we have, wants that are not always, in alignment with that head. So what I hope to give you a little primer on is that when we take the time to reflect when we're going through a transition, that the wants and needs of this and the wants and needs of this are not always in alignment. And if we take time to pause and we put those two things in a more symbiotic relationship, we oftentimes find that we land professionally in a better place. So the first thing I want to talk about is during transition, and it's a reflection of where is your mindset? Where are you currently? How are you showing up today? And what I mean by that is because of the pandemic that we're living in, there have been people who have been laid off and furloughed, had to make things that are beyond their control professionally. There are other people through this stressful time are reflecting on where they are professionally in their career. It may not feel right, it's not in alignment. And I think through these types of times in our history, a lot of us kind of go inside and say, hey, what is this? It's not quite right. But what I mean by when you walk into the world with your mindset, we need to be fundamentally aware of the energy that we show up with when we're going through an interview process, when we're talking to our professional network. And I will share with you that I've made professional transitions myself. And at times professionally, I have allowed some of the baggage of that past professional experience to be dragged into the current moment. So I think when we look at, embarking on this career journey, that we need to be in our best self, whatever that is. If, being more fit, taking runs, doing meditation, what have you. How do you get in your best headspace? And how do you show up your best self when you're interacting with other human beings? So the first question that I like to ask on the journey, and this is fundamentally focused on the head, the logistics of your life. So what do you need when you are making a career transition or you're seeking new employment? What are the basic have-to-haves in your life? So that could look like compensation. That could look like, hey, you know what? I'm really committed to Portland, Oregon. I'm not able to move to another location. It could be relative to family demands. You know, you need a job where you're able to have flexibility. So when I look at what do you need, it is somewhat the non-negotiables of your career and your life, you know, kind of work life together. The second question, and this is directed more to your heart. And the central question is, what do you want? And when we ask ourselves and we open ourselves up to what do we want? You know, I want a smaller environment. I've been working as a creative professional, as an example, on one singular brand or an account. I want to get back to a more full expression. I want to have more creativity. I want to be able to bike to work. I want to have a more flexible schedule. So those things that your heart calls you, you know, want to make an impact in the world in a different way. So that resonance of what's coming from that place, you know, we need to be mindful of. So what this looks like when I work with someone one-to-one, we talk about the general concepts of head and heart and how we want to find alignment. And then I have them embark on a homework assignment. And it looks like pretty much a simple 2-column exercise. It's an extemporaneous, process. And so I say, hey, listen, I want you to journal, reflecting on the question, what do you need? And some of the things that might come up that I just mentioned would be, hey, I need to make this amount of money. I need to stay in the same city. I have a family and I need to have a benefits package that allows us to be vital. I really need to work for a small company. You know, I actually thrive in a larger environment. I need a more university-sized company. You know, I understand that where I'm headed, I need more training, development, advancement. So I need that company to get behind me, and I want to get the credentials. So the second question, what do you want? So it's kind of dropping out of your head and into your heart and saying, you know what, I'm a mid-career professional or I'm director level. I want to make an impact in this world differently than I have for the last decade of my career. I want to give back to others. I want to work in a more fluid entrepreneurial environment. You know, I'm ready for a different pace. I need a company that's really progressive towards my family. You know, I want to bike to work. So these are just some ideas as an abstract that I think through that exercise, you know, will come up and you need to put them down pen to paper. So the next step is to try to get these things in the best alignment we can. It's not a perfect science. So when we look at the things that come up, and again, that's a professional like myself or other, you know, career coaches can help with, but let's make sense of these things. And let's also be realistic to where we are and the skills and background we have to be able to kind of leverage our future, right? So first and foremost, let's make an honest assessment of what our strengths are. How do we show up? How do we make impact? How do people see us? Is that in alignment? Starting also with that mindset question, let's be really make sure that we're shedding the baggage, potential resentments, you know, these perceived slights that we can take on that we don't really need to own. We need to shed those things. We need to let them go, because that's just going to put us again in our best self. Another question, again, for someone who is more senior in their career, I ask them, I say, hey, okay, what does retirement look like? How much longer do you have to work? How much longer do you need to work? And another consideration would be, realistically, how much risk can I take today in my life or for the next period of time? You know, are your potentially, if you have a family, your kids are going to college, like I can't really make big risk because we need to save for college, as an example. So again, looking at those 2-column exercise and then synthesizing those into our best alignment, head-heart alignment. The last step, we shouldn't say the last step, but the really important step is to take action. And there's kind of myriad points here, but I'm just going to go over some basic highlights. You know, the first would be when you have that alignment exercise and you see that clarity about yourself, start thinking about what are the companies that are in your mind best in alignment with who you are. The second thing as you go out into the world is obviously you need to have yourself dialed in. So what is your LinkedIn profile? What is some of that professional description of who you are? And how does it align with, again, that work you've done on your alignment? Are you expressing yourself in the way that it aligns with who, again, that depth of who you are? For creative professionals and marketing professionals, you know, portfolio or relevant work samples. I work with people who are mid-career and they'll show me a portfolio and I'm like, whoa, okay, all right, wonderful work. This is amazing, but we need to make an edit here. A big important one is organizing and connecting with your professional network. And this could also be personal. It's the who of who you know. It's the who might be in alignment, again, with your aligned career journey. Also reaching out to specialized recruiters. We obviously serve a niche of creative professionals and technology professionals. So there are firms like 52 and others that have that particular focus. And they can be helpful in, you know, getting you on your way. Now, this is the last one, and this is the one where I see a lot of people that I've worked with over the years kind of fall asleep a little bit, is we get that killer job. We're like, man, I love this. Like, I'm in my best self. Like, I love the people I work with. And then things change. I mean, life is about change. So what I encourage everyone to do is to stay awake. We all need to stay awake. And what that looks like is, just because you have a great job and you got your head down in the work, we still need to be out there. We need to be exercising our professional contacts. We need to be spending time with people we respect. One of the great things, and Elaine is such an amazing human at doing this, is commit to a community organization that you're passionate about. Get you out there differently than, you know, just doing the work. And the last thing is let's advocate for ourselves. You know, we all, again, have our unique strengths and abilities, and let's treat ourselves right. You know, career transition is not easy. I want to acknowledge that. It's not easy. It's not easy work, but let's be good to ourselves. And, you know, that's kind of all I have.
Thank you so much, Brooks. That was some really, really great tips. It makes me want to start my own exercise of what does my head say and what does my heart say. I totally support, as the community engagement manager, you know, ensuring that you have a community, right? Whether or not you're looking for a job, it's important to have peers and people that understand your needs and staying connected. And sometimes half the battle is not knowing, or is knowing what you don't want to do. And keeping your network open and your community vibrant allows you to talk to different people and hear about different companies, and it allows you to really stay awake. So I thank you so much for taking the time today to share with our community about career transitions, because I'm sure it's on a lot of people's minds. And just Thank you all for attending 10 Minutes with 52. If people have questions, Brooks, or,
Yeah, I was going to just mention that, Elaine. Please feel free to reach out to me. You can, hit me on LinkedIn or, Brooks at 52ltd.com. I'd be more than happy to help along the way. Again, the information I shared with you today is typically an exercise I do one-to-one with a career professional. And it also is typically a 2-part session. So if you struggle with, how do I do this? Just reach out and I'd be happy to help you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brooks. And thanks everyone for spending 10 minutes with us today. Have a great day. Stay safe and we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thank you.